Good morning. I'm Reverend Judy Anderson, and it is my joy and my privilege to say welcome to our celebration of love and life at our Center for Spiritual Living at Red Deer. And I want you to know that whether you're in this room or whether you're watching online on YouTube or on Facebook, that you are a part of the love energy that infuses this center, this congregation, and every one of us benefit from it. So thank you. To begin, let's read our opening affirmation together. Joyously, I enter into the good of this day. I celebrate and rejoice, knowing that God is good, life is good, and I am good. I move and act and speak from a state of grace and loving kindness towards all, and so it is. And we have a word for our children. We do have a young one with us today, but he's busy with our Uncle Gord in the children's room, but I bet his mom can share this word with him later. The word for the children is friendliness. And that doesn't hurt the rest of us either, does it? Friendliness is taking an interest in other people, being warm and courteous. You share your time, your ideas, and your feelings. You make others feel welcome. It is sharing good times and the bad times too. Friendliness is the very best cure for loneliness. What a wonderful lesson for all of us. And our affirmation, I have lots of friends because I am a good friend. So if you'd repeat that with me, I have lots of friends because I am a good friend. And we do have one announcement, and that is thank you to the people who worked the bingo on Wednesday. Were any of you working the bingo on Wednesday? All right. Applause for those of you who worked the bingo. Thank you so much. It's such an important part of our financial well-being at the center. And with that, I am going to introduce our speaker. But to start with, our November theme is Breathe in the View. And isn't that an important thing to do as we get into our winter season, to breathe it in instead of trying to pretend it isn't there? Breathe in the view. And Reverend Doug's title is Seeing Beauty, Feeling Grace. But I also want to say that Reverend Doug came here about 33 years ago in June of 1988. Began this Center for Spiritual Living. It was called the Center for Positive Living at the time, but Reverend Doug has been the mentor and the teacher of so many of us. So we really appreciate you taking the time and making the trip from Calgary to be with us, Reverend Doug. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Judy. Good morning. And how's everybody this morning? Getting ready for the season coming up? Anybody by any chance? I guess you could tell I am. I actually start on Thursday night. That's my first appearance of the season. And a little bit slower this year because of a big cancellation because of the COVID thing. They're not running. But other than that, busy every weekend in December. So that'll keep me out of trouble. I'd say it keep me off the streets, but it won't because one of my gigs is working on the streets. So what can I say? Well, good to be here. And our topic today is seeing beauty and feeling grace. And again, that theme is breathe in the view. And that's kind of an interesting topic because really, when we're talking about the idea of beauty and grace, it's extremely hard to define that. and to give really good examples of it, because in one way there's no good example, and in one way everything's a good example. So we'll talk more about that. So let's just begin by getting into a little bit of an opening treatment and a meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes and go within. And in the calm, the peace, and the stillness, know that all is God. And that we are individually unique expressions of this one truth, this one power, and this one life. And we allow it to flow unencumbered through us,
Mobile device not
creating for us, by means of us, through us, our greater experience in life. So we just take a few moments to go into silence and contemplate this word that we know as beauty, and this word we know as grace, and how we see it and experience it in our own individual lives. So just take a few moments to bask in beauty and bask in grace. And so let us know that in this contemplation of beauty, that the truth is that beauty is our eyeing of that which is around us and feeling it in such a way that it flutters and stimulates the soul within us. And so let us know there's much to know about this beauty and much to know about the grace of God, and that we're open and receptive to learning a little more about this at a deeper level. So we go forward with an open mind, knowing that that which we need for today is given to us, and we greatly accept that. And so it is. Thomas Moore, an author in The Care of the Soul, wrote, "An appreciation for beauty is simply an openness to the power of things to stir the soul. If we can be affected by beauty, then the soul is alive and well in us, because the soul's greatest talent is for being affected. So one of the things that he's talking about here, and again, we're going to take this idea of beauty to a deeper level. We're taking it to a spiritual level. And where he's coming from is he's coming from the journey that is part of us at the soul level. And what's the soul here to do? And what's the human experience? And how do those work together? Because we experience the human experience through our physical form and through our mind that we know as ego. But within us, there is that subtle emanation that is that higher power, that is that spiritual self. And so we experience things and we see things and we put labels on them. And that's fine, because that's how we relate to things in life. However, the soul relates to it by the experience of an event, by how you experience it. In fact, I guess a good way of talking about that is that The soul doesn't see an experience with the idea that we do of pain and suffering. It sees it as a learning experience because that's what it is. And that's what we're here to do. We're here and we're charged with learning and growing and moving forward, no matter what. That is the guaranteed outcome of our existence. And so we're talking about beauty, and we talk about it out there, and we label things, isn't she beautiful, or isn't he handsome or beautiful? And I was thinking about one time when I got a black eye one of the times, and people say, oh, that's a beauty, isn't it? Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that we use that term. And so at a spiritual level, it's not about that. It's not about labels or what we put on something. It's about how we experience it inside ourselves. So I've had a little bit of a phenomena happen over the last few years I've become very acutely aware of, and that my body does not work quite the same way as it did when I was younger in the mountains, because I spend a lot of time in the mountains. Anybody spend a lot of time in the mountains? No. Well, I do. And so I've really noticed, actually I just did my logbook up for this year, and I retired last year at the end of April, and since May 1st last year I've been out for 110 days and just under 1,100 kilometers in the mountains, which is not bad for an old guy. And one of the things I noticed is I can still do most of what I could do before. I can't do it all. I just can't do some of it. And I'm much slower at it. However, there's a bonus to that. And so what I've done was I've taken to pause and stop a lot more than I ever did before. And when I go with my buddy, he's a little bit slower than I am, so I stop a little more. And you know, I just stop and look around, and I allow the beauty of the mountains and what that is around me just to infiltrate inside of me. And I feel that fluttering of the soul as it recognizes the beauty of how I'm experiencing the scenes around me, the glaciers and the alpine country. And I can't begin to describe what it does to me. People say, well, doesn't it get old doing that? No, if I could do more, I would. Case closed. Because it never takes anything from me, you see. And that's how we got to approach life. Not letting life take anything from us, allowing it to give to us. And then as we allow it to give to us, then we have the ability at a greater level to reflect back to life a greater part of who and what we are. And all life has beauty emanating from it. All individuals have that within them. And of course, generally we're going to draw from people what we see. But we don't necessarily see it in them, because in order for us to see different things in other people, we have to have that inside of ourselves. So the bottom line, where it really gets down to, is how we see ourselves. And how do we look at ourselves? Because if we look at ourselves in a more gracious manner, if we look at ourselves unconditional in acceptance, then we have less of that stuff out there to filtrate the beauty that we can see in other people. And it's really nice to look at a a man or a woman or a child and see the beauty in them. And I get to see a lot of it at this time of year being Santa. It's the most incredible thing. But be real clear if when you're doing whatever it is you do in life, be all inclusive. So one of the benefits that Ann and I greatly get more so of doing what we do is people said, oh, you must do it, enjoy doing it for the children and that. No, and I say, no, we don't do it for the children. And people are actually quite shocked. I said that this morning. We don't do it for the children, we do it for the family. Okay? So that could be older siblings, it could be parents, it could be grandparents or uncles or aunties. So our perspective is inclusive for the family. So what it is that we have to say or what we have to do that we're given by Spirit to say or do is because we're inclusive and it's right for not only the children, it's for the family. We may not talk to the family, we may just talk to the children, but by including the family in that in consciousness, they hear what they want to hear with Santa talking to the children. It's really kind of a neat experience. And I get asked this quite a bit of time, but how did you do that? Or how do you do that? And I just simply tell people that's because I'm Santa, and that's what Santa does. Okay? And to be really clear about that, people say, oh, you must enjoy playing Santa or dressing up as Santa. I said, no, I don't do that. Look at me, and I said, be real clear, I am Santa. Okay? So when I step into my experience, that's exactly who I am. I'm not somebody else putting out something. I am Santa. And that's not an egotistical thing, folks. To me, that is a totally spiritual experience and giving of the beauty of which the Spirit gifted me to be able to give. And we all got our own way and our own beauty to give the gift of what we are. This just happens to be mine. And if we accept that and work with that, for example, doing what I'm here doing, my Sunday talks and that, then what one gets is more beauty back from life because you can see it more. And you know, it's not a hurry up and race and take a course till I get there, then I got it done, then I can get on with things. I've been working at this for 40 plus years, and I'm really just starting to get a handle on it. Notice I said get a handle on it. Okay? And it's really working well for me and reflecting back for me what I want to do in my journey. So to me, that's what really beauty is. Francis Bacon, the philosopher, he was a High Chancellor of London at one time in the 1400s, said, beauty itself is but the sensible image of the infinite. Okay? It's not anything special or any big deal. It's a sensible image of the infinite. The infinite is the creative presence of Spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, that's continually and constantly creating. And whatever it creates is an image and likeness of itself because it's created out of itself. And we get to do that, a lot of philosophical stuff, but the bottom line is we get to do that ourselves. We get to create the kind of journey in life that we want. And when we do that, that'll reflect back to us. I know you go about my mountain experience, you know, I'm always talking about that. And you know, I was born and raised there. I've been in the mountains all my life. But I gotta tell you that I've really, really appreciated it more in the last few years than I ever did in my life. And I got this one trail I've been up. It's 17.6K round trip. It's one of my favorites for lunch. And I've been up there 80 plus times. And I know it really well. And do I get bored of it? Tired of it? Absolutely not. It's spectacular and beautiful every time I go, and I always see something different or in a different way than I never really recognized before. Now, how come I can do that? Lots of times we do the same thing over and over and over again, and it becomes a rut. That's because we don't see the beauty in it. And we can't see the beauty in it because we can't see the beauty in ourselves being in that experience. That's why it's so important to be in a place of work that you take your love to and your beauty to. Not just a job. I never had a job since 1969. It was the last job I had. All the rest of the stuff I did because I wanted to. Okay, be real clear. I never did anything since 1969 that I didn't want to do. Even stuff that got me in trouble. I did it because I wanted to do it. Okay? And that gives you a sense of freedom. However, as we take that sense of freedom and develop it over a period of time, we get to experience deeper sense of beauty. And now this idea about grace. That's an interesting topic because grace is nothing you need to do. It's nothing that you need to develop. It's absolutely nothing you could do anything about. Because grace is the givingness of the Spirit of itself through you and by means of you. So it's there. However, we got to be able to accept that and allow it to work through us by means of us. Dennis Merritt Jones wrote in How to Speak the Science of Mind, grace is the givingness of the Spirit to its creation, the logical result of the correct acceptance of life and a correct relationship to the Spirit. So one of the things where a lot of times we hear grace given is, oh, by the grace of God, I'll be able to do this. Or, boy, he was a real bad person, but by the grace of God, he was able to change. Right? Okay? You have to understand, like, if you think you got to make amend and atone for everything that you've done, I know when we do that in 12-step programs, you got to make a list and go atone for it. It didn't work for me because my list was way too big, and that's only what I knew. Never mind what I didn't know. Okay? It didn't look like, based on traditional ways of doing something in grace, there wasn't much of a hope for me because I'd created 17 years of really bad stuff. But what grace means is, even though that was happening to me and misplaced and misdirected that whole time, that grace, that givingness of the Spirit was still there. It just wasn't working through me and by means of me in the correct way because I did not recognize it. So when I got beaten enough and I finally turned to the Spirit, it responded right away, and I was on my way. Okay? Just like that. But it had to wait until I turned to it. Not it. It. Be real clear. There was no intervention outside. It all happened in here. Okay? So that's what it is. It was there, it was waiting. But once a person opens up to it, it can guide you, lead you, and direct you. Now here's the trick. And this is a trick. It works for everybody all the time. And then when it starts to work for people, people try to stop it. Well, I want to do this, and then it starts happening. And then you go, well, I'm not ready yet. People often say, well, this is happening, I'm not ready yet. I said, yeah, you are. I said, they say, well, how do you know? I said, well, it's happening. You must be ready. It don't happen if you're not ready. You see, nothing ever happens unless we're ready. Whether we think we are or not, we're ready. Because if we weren't, it wouldn't happen. Got it? The trouble with us is that's always happening on big ways and small ways, because the grace of God is always working through us when we turn to it. The problem is we don't respond accordingly when it's placed before us. We procrastinate, we put it off, we come up with, well, I got busy, once this is over, I'll do it. Anybody, does that sound familiar with anybody? Yeah, and then you got to get the shovel out, clear the sidewalk, just like snow, that stuff gets piled up. I'll leave it to everybody's vivid imagination on that one, okay? And that's what we do. And it's not about, fooling anybody or anything else. It's about fooling ourselves. So the biggest problem that we have to having grace or the Spirit work through us by means of us is us. And it's even more so when we here know how it works, and we put it into action, and then we do all the digging of the heels in and getting blister burn on your heels from digging them in. Anybody ever get that happening? And so, part of it is that we've got to work at releasing it. I come across this lady that wrote this. Her name is A. Helwa, and it's called Secrets of Divine Love, and it's kind of like taking Islam and putting it in Western words, eh? And she wrote, just like ocean waves can over time break down massive cliffs into particles of sand, the repetitive nature of salat, which is daily ritual prayer, serves to crumble the mountain of our egos. Repeating our prayer in a heartfelt way is like submerging the fabric of our souls into the ocean of God consciousness. Just as leather has to be consistently dipped into the tubs of dye to retain the color, when we repetitively turn to God, our spirits become wrapped in Allah's colorful qualities, permanently dyeing us with the beauty of divine grace. And so that's it. That's that. Really, to put it simply, it's called daily spiritual practice. And that's twofold. One is making a conscious connection with the Spirit, however we do it. And then the other one is going into action so that we can be guided, led, and directed by Spirit. So those are our big challenges that we've got in the journey. I mean, really, there's a lot to know, but there's really nothing to know about it. It's just to allow it to work through us by means of us. And that is done by accepting that there is that infinite power within us. Helen Keller said that the best and the most beautiful things cannot be seen or touched. They must be felt with the heart. And the more we allow that to come in and stir us, the more we're stimulated. The more we feel it, the more it becomes part of who and what we are. Again, I can't begin to explain the feelings I get when I'm out in nature. And they're way different or way more intense than they've ever been before. And it seems to be going that way more and more every year. And I'm not disappointed by that. I'm grateful for it. And based on how my experience from the mountains has been different this year and intensified, I could hardly wait to see how my experience is going to be with the families over the Christmas season. Because I got to tell you, some of those little guys give me $1 million experience. They've given me experiences that you can absolutely never buy or purchase in life. It's just one of those things, and it's just not once. It happens all the time. And how grateful am I for that? How fortunate am I to be able to have found what I resonate with in life and to be able to have outlets to do that. A lot of people never find that. And for you, don't matter where you are in your journey, mind that which you're good at and do, and take more of that into all of your activities. I don't fix cars. I don't know nothing about cars. I know how to drive them. I don't draw pictures. Stickman, maybe. Not good at art. Can't write. That's why I type. I could write a nice letter, but type it, you know? There's a lot of things I can't do, and I know it, and I don't do it. You know what I do? I get people that are good at doing it, and like handy guys that like doing this and that. And his brother, he does it. He loves coming to help do that. And I love not doing it because I don't get frustrated. I'm very happy. Okay? And that's what we all want to do, is we all want to do more of what resonates with us. And you say, well, I can't find a job like that. Well, that's because you say you can't find a job like that. You keep doing that, you'll find one. You'll find people like that. You'll find animals like that. They're easier to deal with, by the way, than people sometimes. So the best thing to do here is just to go forward from this point, knowing, as what Ernest Holmes said here, that the original spirit is harmony, it's beauty and truth, and everything that goes with the ultimate reality. The universe is not divided against itself. So the spirit is here for us, not against us. Anytime we feel anything's against us, is only happening inside of us. We've got to remove that, see it for what it is, and then the Spirit will give the wisdom to us to deal with anything that we need to deal with. I always tell people, if you're in a situation, don't try to figure out why you got there. Work at how you're going to get out of it. And as you work at how you're going to get out of it, ultimately you'll know why it is that you ended up there and what not to do again. But you never try to figure out what your problem's about. You always look for the solution, because the Spirit will give us whatever it is that we need to triumph in all situations at all times. So for me and for each one here, I know and accept that the beauty and the grace of good and God is working through us by means of us, expressing uniquely in our own special way that resonates with us, as stimulates us, and brings us to greater experiences of peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. I declare it, I accept it, I know it to be so, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Doug. And just to make everything clear, Reverend Doug, all of us adult children, boys and girls, we have all been very good all year long. And if someone says we did something bad, we're totally innocent, okay?
Santa's got his nice and naughty list, and there's a few people that need to do a little work.
Okay.
They know who they are.
Darn it, hey? Wonderful talk. And your connection with the outdoors, your joy. I know each of us have our own connection to something, and I'm so glad you have found yours. It is wonderful and great talk. Thank you so much. And I'm Reverend Tress, by the way, and thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a wonderful talk, and it's wonderful seeing everyone here and everyone out there. Aren't we lucky to be alive today, November the 14th? Now, our prosperity affirmation. We do give just by coming here today. You are giving yourself and listening, and that is a wonderful thing. Reverend Doug, thank you for your dedication and giving today. being here, sharing, so precious. And thank you for sharing your beautiful self. So if you wish, will you please repeat with me our prosperity affirmation? It is on our purple sheets in the inside of our bulletin. I give and I receive, and I do so with gratitude. All that I am is a gift of spirit, and all that I do is a gift back to life, maintaining that perfect circulation that is God in action. I choose to bless myself and my world by sharing generously, and so it is. And if you wish to share with our center financially, you can do it online. If you go to our Facebook page, or you can donate by putting money in our basket there. And I would also like to note that we have our Science of Mind magazine, and it's just as you go out the door, and they're $5 each, and it comes out once a month. Great, great book. And it has daily devotions in there. And now we have a closing affirmation. So if you will repeat with me our closing affirmation: I step into the events of this day with enthusiasm, vitality, a calm expectation of good. As I expect good in every situation, that is what I receive. It is done unto me as I believe, and so it is. And before I do a closing affirmation myself, I just want you to do something special today. I want you to be good to yourself today. And I want you to do something today for yourself that you've been saying, I'm going to do this, I want to do this. Just get out there and do it with love, because you deserve it. Okay, now if you'd like to join with me in a closing affirmation, close your eyes and be right here, right now, and know that there is one mind, one power, one divine intelligence, that creator of all things, which is what is in each and every one of us. What a miracle our lives are. And I choose through my word, and I ask you to listen to my words and embody them and see them as yourself, to choose to feel and know and acknowledge the miracle of life that each of us truly are, that the power in, as, back, and through us is divine creative mind, that all is right, all is perfect, all is God, and all we do is ask and wait and receive. Believe in yourself. For by believing in ourselves, we are believing in the divine. And with this knowing, today is a good day, every day forward is a good day, and each of us have the power, the knowledge, the drive, and the capability to do what it is we wish to do in our lives. Oh boy, life is good. And together we say, and so it is. And thank you for being here. Bye-bye.